Every year, American homeowners spend approximately $11 billion on herbicides. A significant portion of that money goes specifically toward killing plants that are not just edible, but are measurably more nutritious than the vegetables sold at grocery stores. The dandelion you spray with Roundup every May contains more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk ounce for ounce, and more beta-carotene than carrots. The purslane you pull out of your tomato bed contains more omega-3 fatty acids per gram than salmon. The lamb's quarters growing along your fence line contains 3 times the calcium of spinach and twice the iron of beef. These are not fringe claims from foraging blogs. The USDA lists dandelion as one of the top green vegetables in nutritional value. Researchers at Yale University published findings in Science Advances in 2022, confirming that purslane performs a form of photosynthesis so efficient it has never been observed in any other plant species on Earth. You have been spending money every season to kill things you should have been eating. This video will not let that happen again. One critical rule before the first plant: never eat anything foraged from ground that has been treated with herbicides, pesticides, or chemical fertilizers. Never forage from areas with high vehicle traffic, near industrial sites, or from lawns frequented by animals. Everything on this list grows in untreated garden beds, organic pastures, the borders of deep woodland, and undisturbed land with known soil history. If you cannot confirm the history of the soil, do not eat what grows in it. That one rule protects everything else that follows. The plant most people know best and understand least is the dandelion. Taraxacum officinale is native to Eurasia and was deliberately brought to North America by European settlers in the 1600s as a food and medicine crop. The Pilgrims grew it intentionally. It was cultivated in kitchen gardens across colonial America. The French name for this plant, pissenlit, translates directly to its most documented medicinal property, its potent diuretic effect on the kidneys and liver. That name has existed for centuries and was not given casually. Every part of the dandelion is edible. The leaves contain vitamins A, C, and K, alongside calcium, iron, manganese, and potassium in concentrations. The USDA has measured and confirmed placed dandelion among the most nutritionally dense green vegetables accessible to American consumers. The flowers can be eaten raw in salads, infused into syrups, or battered and fried. The roots can be sliced, roasted in an oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 to 40 minutes until dark and fragrant, then ground and steeped in hot water as a caffeine-free coffee substitute that contains inulin, a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Samuel Thayer, author of Nature's Garden, documents that young dandelion stems can be boiled and eaten like noodles when the plant is in its first year of growth. The younger the leaf, the milder the flavor. Harvest before the flower stalk emerges in early spring, when the leaves are still low to the ground in a rosette. These early leaves can go directly into a salad. Once the plant flowers, the leaves become progressively more bitter, which is when they benefit most from quick blanching in boiling water for 60 to 90 seconds before sautéing with olive oil, garlic, and a squeeze of lemon. The bitterness you are removing with the blanching is from sesquiterpenes lactones, the same class of compounds that give endive and radicchio their characteristic flavor. You have been eating bitter greens at restaurants and paying premium prices for the experience. The dandelion in your yard has been offering you the same thing for free every spring since you moved in. The USDA classified dandelion as a noxious weed in several agricultural contexts in the mid-20th century. The herbicide industry began specifically marketing broadleaf herbicide products to homeowners to eliminate it from lawns. The Scott's Company launched their first major direct mail campaign in 1947, selling 2,4-D, the same chemical developed as a military defoliant during the Second World War, specifically targeting dandelion, clover, and plantain as enemies of the American lawn. The plant that Pilgrim settlers brought across the Atlantic as a food crop was reclassified as an enemy within 2 generations. That reclassification has cost American households billions of dollars in herbicide purchases and denied them one of the most nutritious free vegetables growing in the temperate world. Growing flat along the ground in the crack of your driveway, in the gap between paving stones, and in every disturbed garden bed with full or partial sun, is a plant that looks like a miniature jade plant with fleshy, succulent red-stemmed leaves. This is purslane, Portulacum oleracea, and the world's largest weed database lists it as the most reported weed species on the planet. It grows on 6 continents. A single plant produces up to 200,000 seeds, each of which can remain viable in soil for 40 years. You cannot kill purslane permanently, you can only harvest it. Dr. Vanga, Artemis Simopoulos, a nutritional researcher, analyzed purslane in 1992 and found 300 to 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid, an omega-3 fatty acid, per 100 grams of fresh leaves. That is 5 to 7 times more than spinach, and 15 times more than iceberg lettuce. It is the richest vegetable source of omega-3 fatty acids ever measured, and in 2022, researchers at Yale University published findings in Science Advances showing that purslane performs a dual photosynthesis system operating C4 and Km pathways simultaneously in the same cells. No other plant on Earth has been confirmed to do this. It is why purslane grows in desert heat and thrives where other plants die. You have been poisoning the world's most sophisticated photosynthetic organism because it grew in your driveway. Eat the stems and leaves raw in a salad for a slightly sour, slightly salty, crunchy texture that pairs naturally with tomatoes, cucumber, and feta. Saute them in olive oil with garlic for 2 minutes as a side dish. Add them to soups in the final minute of cooking. In Mexico, purslane is called verdolagas and is eaten scrambled with eggs and chili. In Greece, it is called glistrida and mixed into salads with olive oil and lemon. In India, it is stewed with lentils. Half the world never stopped eating it. The other half was told to spray it. Identify purslane by its thick, fleshy, paddle-shaped leaves that grow alternately along reddish stems that lie flat along the ground. The leaves feel slightly waxy on the surface. When you break a stem, it is full of moisture, almost translucent inside. It tastes slightly sour and salty raw. If any plant you suspect is purslane does not match all of these characteristics, do not eat it. Lamb's quarters has been growing in disturbed soil across North America, Europe, and Asia for so long that archaeologists cannot determine whether it is native or introduced. When Tolland Man, a 2400-year-old Iron Age body discovered in a Danish bog in 1950, had his stomach contents analysed in 2002, lamb's quarters was among the dominant ingredients in his final meal. It was a staple across 4 continents for at least 10 millennia. It contains 3 times the calcium of spinach, twice the iron of beef, more vitamin C than oranges per gram, and all essential amino acids. The Old Farmer's Almanac documents it as second only to dandelion as the most widely eaten wild green in the world across cultures. In India, it is called bathua and folded into flatbreads. In China, it is called hu cai and stir-fried with ginger. In Mexico, it is called quelates and scrambled with eggs. The leaves are diamond-shaped and light green on top. The underside is dusted with a fine white powder called farina that brushes off when you rub it between your fingers. That powder is the single most reliable identifying feature of lamb's quarters and distinguishes it from every other look-alike plant. If it wipes off like dusty chalk when you rub the underside of the leaf, you have lamb's quarters. Harvest the young top 6 inches of the plant before it flowers. Cook the leaves exactly as you would spinach, blanched briefly in boiling water, drained and sautéed in butter with salt. The flavor is milder than spinach, slightly sweet, and without bitterness. The seeds, harvested in late summer, can be ground into flour or cooked like quinoa, which is its domesticated South American cousin. In 1947, the same year Scots began marketing 2,4-D to American homeowners, lamb's quarters was the most targeted broadleaf weed in commercial corn and soybean agriculture. Bayer, Syngenta, BASF and Corteva together earn billions annually selling herbicides specifically formulated to kill it. A plant that feeds humans for free on every cultivated acre in the temperate world generates no revenue. The chemical that kills it generates billions. That is the only reason it is classified as a weed. The plant that grows in your greenhouse in January, when every other green thing in your garden has died, is chickweed. Stellaria media is a winter annual that thrives in the conditions that kill everything else. It grows in single-digit temperatures. It blooms before winter ends in mild climates. It produces seeds during most of the year and sets them quickly enough to complete multiple generations in a single season. It is the only green thing visible in dormant greenhouse environments during deep winter, documented repeatedly by growers across the northeastern United States and the United Kingdom. That cold tolerance is not a curiosity. It is the most important feature for anyone who wants fresh food from their own ground in the months between late autumn and early spring, when nothing else is producing. Chickweed is rich in vitamins C and A, calcium, niacin, phosphorus and riboflavin. It has a mild, pleasant flavor that some describe as corn-like, with none of the bitterness that characterizes dandelion or lamb's quarters. The young leaves and growing tips can be eaten raw directly in a salad, added to smoothies, or used as a microgreen topping on any dish. Older growth benefits from 2 minutes of light sautéing. Chickweed has been used topically for centuries as a poultice applied to minor cuts, burns, insect bites and skin rashes. Its mucilaginous properties when bruised and applied to skin provide a cooling, soothing soothing effect that has been documented in European herbal traditions since at least the 16th century. Identify chickweed by its bright green, oval, pointed leaves growing in pairs along a thin, delicate stem. The most reliable identifying feature is a single line of fine hairs running along one side of the stem only, rotating from side to side between nodes. Rub the stem gently and you will feel one distinctly rough side. No other common lookalike has this feature. It grows close to the ground in spreading mats and produces tiny 5-petaled white flowers, so small they appear to have 10 petals because each petal is so deeply notched it looks like 2. Harvest the top 2 to 3 inches of growth using scissors. The plant growing flat in the middle of your lawn that you walk over every time you mow has 2 things in common with the common plantain you have probably bought at a grocery store. They share a name. That is where the similarity ends. Plantago major. The broadleaf plantain is a low-growing perennial weed with oval ribbed leaves that grow in a flat rosette pressed against the ground. It is native to Europe and Asia and was carried to North America by European settlers so reliably that Native American tribes across the continent gave it the name white man's foot because it appeared wherever settlers traveled. Both the leaves and the tall, slender seed spikes that rise from the center of the rosette are edible. The leaves are nutritionally similar to dandelion greens, containing vitamins A, C, and K alongside potassium and calcium. Young spring leaves are the most tender and can be used raw in salads or cooked briefly as a green. As the plant matures, the leaf fibers become stringy and tough, making cooking the better preparation method. The seed spikes harvested before the seeds fully mature can be eaten raw with a slightly nutty, wheat-like flavor, or the seeds can be stripped off the spike and ground into a flour supplement. Medicinally, plantain applied topically by chewing a leaf until it releases its juice and pressing it against an insect bite or bee sting provides documented relief from itching and swelling. The compound responsible is ocuben, a glycoside with anti-inflammatory properties confirmed in laboratory analysis. It works. Every hiker who has been stung by a wasp 4 miles from the trailhead and had an experienced companion press a chewed plantain leaf onto the sting site knows it works. Identify broadleaf plantain by its oval, deeply ribbed leaves with smooth edges and prominent parallel veins running the length of the leaf. Pull a leaf, and you will see the ribs pull away from the leaf tissue like strings from a celery stalk. Those ribs confirm identification. Harvest in spring, when the leaves are young enough to eat without cooking. The plant is extremely common in lawns, garden paths, and any area of compacted soil with some moisture. The last 2 plants on this list are the ones most likely to genuinely change what you do the next time you are working in your garden. Wood sorrel, Oxalis acetosella, and its related species, is the small clover-like plant that children instinctively eat without being told. Every child who has ever grown up near a woodland or a garden with partial shade has put wood sorrel in their mouth before an adult told them to stop. The reason is the flavor. Wood sorrel tastes sharply, cleanly sour in a way that is intensely pleasant, a natural lemon flavor from oxalic acid in concentrations that are enjoyable in small amounts. It has been eaten by humans across Europe, Asia, and the Americas for as long as there is a record of humans eating plants. Native American tribes across the continent used it as a trail snack and as a flavoring in soups and stews. Samuel de Champlain documented Algonquin people eating it in his journals in the early 1600s. Wood sorrel contains vitamin C in meaningful concentrations and has been used historically to treat scurvy. It grows in partial shade to full shade in moist, well-drained soil, which makes it one of the only edible plants that thrives in the darkest corners of most gardens. The leaves, flowers, and seed pods are all edible. Use the leaves as a lemon substitute in salads, squeeze them into water as a natural souring agent, or add them to fish dishes in place of lemon. The seed pods, which are tiny and oblong, pop when ripe and release small seeds with a concentrated sour flavor. Eat them by the handful as a trail snack, exactly as children do instinctively. Identify wood sorrel by its 3 heart-shaped leaflets, each one notched in the center, growing on a thin stem. It folds its leaves downward at night and in heavy rain, a response called nactinacity that you can observe by checking the plant at dusk. This folding behavior is unique to Oxalis and confirms identification. Note that wood sorrel is not edible in large quantities due to its oxalic acid content. A small handful added to a salad is appropriate. A large bowl consumed daily is not advisable, particularly for anyone with kidney stones or kidney disease. Garlic mustard grows along the edge of every woodland path, every disturbed fence line, every shaded garden border across the eastern United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. It is classified as one of the most aggressive invasive species in North American forests, crowding out native wildflowers by releasing allelopathic compounds from its roots that suppress the growth of surrounding plants. Every effort to control it has failed. It cannot be stopped. It spreads faster than any management effort can contain. Here is the information that conservation biologists wish more people knew. It tastes like garlic mustard. Olearia petiolata produces leaves that, when raw, carry a sharp, peppery, garlicky flavor that makes a genuinely excellent pesto. Take 2 packed cups of young garlic mustard leaves, 1/3 cup of walnuts or pine nuts, 2 garlic cloves, half a cup of olive oil, salt, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Blend. The result is a pesto that is peppery, complex, and distinctive. Garlic mustard pesto has been served at foraging dinners in New York, London, and Portland by chefs who know their invasive plants. The young leaves in early spring are the mildest. As the season progresses and the plant sends up its small white flower clusters, the flavor intensifies and the leaves become better cooked than raw. The seeds, harvested in late summer, carry the same sharp mustard flavor and can be used as a spice. Eating garlic mustard is not just free food, it is active ecological restoration. Every leaf you harvest is one less seed produced. Every spring harvest reduces the plant's spread into native woodland. You cannot eat your way to eradication, but you can make a meaningful dent in a population while feeding yourself from what you harvest. Identify garlic mustard in its first year as a low rosette of kidney-shaped leaves with scalloped edges that smell unmistakably of garlic when crushed. In its second year, it sends up a stem reaching 2 to 3 feet with small white 4-petaled flowers in spring, followed by long, thin seed pods. Both years are edible. Both smell of garlic when the leaf is bruised. That smell is the confirmation. No dangerous look-alike smells of garlic. If it smells like garlic mustard, it is garlic mustard. 7 plants growing in lawns, driveways, garden beds, woodland edges, and shaded corners across every temperate climate on Earth. The grocery store sells cultivated versions of the same nutritional profile at prices that have increased every year since 2020. The free version is outside your door right now. Learn to identify it correctly. Harvest it from ground you know to be untreated, and you will never look at a weed the same way again. The person who learns these 7 plants does not just change how they garden, they change how they eat.